Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to begin, and we ask that you take your seats at this time. Out of courtesy to our speakers and your colleagues, we ask that you silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. And speaking of cell phones, we discovered a cell phone in one of the nearby restrooms, and Bogda, who's over there in the yellow sweater, oh, there we go. Already found. Thank you.
If I had Tom's voice, I could raise more money. Give him a hand for always doing that. Welcome to our annual fall meeting. I'm Freeman Hrabowski, and I'm delighted to welcome all of you. It's a great turnout, isn't it? It really is. I was cooking all night, so I hope the food is good, all right? So I have said to our students, to our incoming freshmen and the incoming graduate student, that I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, wherever they are, right? And I also told them that you were really nice people, so give them a round of applause to let them know you're going to be very nice to them.
Thank you, President Hrabowski, and hello to the UMBC faculty and staff. I'm Benjamin Megginson. I'm a freshman, and I graduated from Sandy Spring Friends School in Montgomery County, Maryland. During my college application process, I toured 9 or 10 schools. UMBC struck me as a very good fit for a number of reasons. The professors were very kind and eager to inform me about UMBC. And Doug Hamby was especially helpful when I spoke with him about the Linehan Artist Scholars Program. The Linehan program seemed like a really good fit for my interests and abilities. I'm interested in many forms of art, and I've been dancing since I was 3. I first took ballet and tap but in high school at Sandy Spring, I grew to love modern dance because of the creativity involved. I'm eager to develop that creativity at UMBC through collaboration with other artists in other disciplines and to choreograph more ambitious dance projects. In addition to my love of dance, I'm also excited to study other subjects such as marine biology in the Honors Forum. Thank you all for being so welcoming to me. I look forward to moving in and starting classes next week.
Hi, my name is Reagan Roberts. I'm a Center for Women in Technology scholar here at UMBC. I'm an incoming freshman. My first vivid memory of UMBC was back when I was 10. I attended the first LEGO League robotics state competition at the RAC. My team had been meeting all year and had finally made it to the state level. "We Are the Champions" by Queen was blaring through the speakers as the winning robotics team was announced, and it wasn't mine. I couldn't understand why the judges would want to pick another team. I mean, I wanted to win so badly. What I didn't understand was that hard work played a lot into success. Flash forward to my sophomore year of high school. My school had a First Tech Challenge robotics team, and I figured if I liked First LEGO League, I would probably like First Tech Challenge too. It wasn't long before I was hooked on robotics. I loved the design process. I loved discovering new ideas and learning through testing. I put all of my time into robotics. Sadly, no one else on the team did the same. I felt like I was the only one willing to put in the work to succeed. My team did make it to the state championships, but there was still something missing. The team didn't go as far as I had wanted. I wanted to go to the World Championships. No, I wanted to win the World Championships. I had a 0.05% chance of winning Worlds. Yes, I did the math. As I looked into the problem, I realized I needed to surround myself with people who were knowledgeable and shared the same goals. I met 2 people, both who had been doing robotics for way longer than I had. I was 2 years younger than both of them, the baby of the team, but I was driven to work hard. We had a lot of ups and downs throughout the season, but we learned a lot. In the end, we ended up winning the World Championships. Thank you. Why? Because we worked hard. Because we reached out into the community and asked other engineers what they thought. So when it was time for me to apply to colleges, I didn't know that much about any of the colleges I applied to. So when I got into schools like University of Maryland, Purdue, Virginia Tech, University of Kentucky, and UMBC, I had no clue where I wanted to go. As I toured schools, I heard the same words like college experience, fun, and friends. But those words changed when I went to UMBC, and I started to hear words like grit and greatness. When I joined my robotics team, I realized I had to work hard and surround myself with knowledgeable people. At UMBC, I am definitely surrounded by supportive, dedicated, and knowledgeable people. Here at UMBC, the support of the faculty and staff is exceptional. I haven't even had my first class yet, and I know almost all of my professors. I already feel comfortable asking my instructors for help and advice, and I haven't even received all my syllabi. Most college students meet their roommates the day they move in, and I'm already texting and spending time with them. I already know a lot of people in the grades above me as well. When I went to events like Bits and Bites my junior year of high school, I met plenty of older students in the CWIT program. All of them talked about the community that CWIT and UMBC offers. After I accepted my offer from UMBC, I started having second thoughts. Did I make the right choice? However, once I went to orientation and met everyone, most of which I had met before I even accepted my UMBC offer, I felt right at home. I already feel like I'm a part of the community that CWIT and UMBC offers. At my summer internship at APL, working on Parker Solar Probe, which is a solar probe heading to the sun to measure solar winds, an employee and a former CWIT graduate sent me a very sweet email wishing me luck at UMBC. I am truly impressed by the community we have here at UMBC. UMBC has given me so many resources to grow before I've even started classes. I already have a deep appreciation for the CWIT leadership and the UMBC staff and faculty. There is an above and beyond approach that is just part of the UMBC culture. I can't wait to see what this school year brings. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Well, it is my honor to share my story and aspirations with you, the esteemed UMBC staff and faculty and guests. My name is Karina Kiawat Villagran. I'm a transfer student from the James W. Rouse Scholars Program at Howard Community College, where I earned my associate's degree in general studies with honors. During my time at HCC, I was taken away by my experiences as president of the Hispanic Student Union in Active Minds, vice president of membership engagement of Phi Theta Kappa, and as a passionate student in service learning. Impossible to forget is the Army veteran from the Baltimore Station, or the Translation Project, the very cool translation project with the National Park Service, or Jordan Burnham, a suicide survivor and mental health advocate. In pursuing my undergraduate studies in the UMBC Honors College, I am truly fortunate to do so with a plethora of experiences to come and with the help of the Presidential Transfer Award. Thank you, Dr. Hrabowski. Ernie G., a friend, empowerment speaker, activist, and comedian, would describe my last paragraph as my A game. He would not be disappointed in me, but he would allude to the fact that it's missing the very first stepping stones to who I am today. So please excuse me as I steer away from my A game. You're looking at one of the more than 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. My first home was in Iztapalapa, Mexico. In the 7 years apart, my mom worked strenuously to raise the money for coyotes to pull me up and over the border, find me a temporary family, and to drive me across the country to her. For far too long, I resented my mom for choosing me a life forever in the shadows, or so I thought. Whether it was being ostracized for my foreign characteristics or not knowing how to apply for colleges with my status, my frustration and hopelessness only multiplied. I felt like it was consuming me as a whole. Needless to say, the 5 years with my temporary work permit and protection from deportation with the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, has certainly been a time of 180-degree shifts in my life. Before the 2016 presidential election, I avoided the conversation about illegal immigration altogether, out of fear. In the weeks following the election, it dawned on me, with the help of a dear friend and activist, that I could no longer hide in the shadows, pitting my difficult circumstances. I realized I'm not alone in this battle for human dignity and respect, social justice, and equality. In fact, this is a battle of many. DACA recipients are families, allies, and beneficiaries. I share my story and faith for progressive action with you today for my people who still shelter themselves in the shadows. As you may know, DACA is under attack. This also means the human beings under DACA are under attack. Of course, it is overwhelming to think of what could become of my people and me without my work permit and protection from deportation, but we have no use in quieting our voices and quitting on our aspirations. I too am a typical UMBC student with the grit to become an educated colored woman who wants to make a positive difference in this world. My journey to that goal continues here for a Bachelor of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies with a psychology minor. To major in INDS is to dive into an academic challenge of learning how seemingly unrelated disciplines can in fact overlap and build on each other. The disciplines I want to study and research are occupational therapy, health and wellness, social advocacy, humanitarian efforts, and languages and culture. With this many passions at heart and with surely more to accrue, it is a good thing I'm a nerd for research and experiences. Even without a set career in mind, I am confident in my choice to attend UMBC. Both of the curriculums of the Honors College and INDS challenge me to grow in discipline, knowledge, and perspective through in and out of classroom experiences. There's also the Shriver and Career Centers where not only I can find opportunities to decide my career choice, but to stay as an active member in the community. As someone who relies on public transportation, I love that UMBC is in close proximity to hospitals, downtown, shelters, and much more. Being part of a cohort of honors students who are a support system for one another, much like the HCC Rouse Scholars, is also very comforting. I have already talked to a few students in the Honors College who are truly an inspiration and a role model to me. With their advice and encouragement, I am already ready to get involved and give back to UMBC. So thank you for your time and attention.
It's hard to follow greatness. Whew. Greetings and salutations to the UMBC community. My name is Jason Ash, and I'm a first-year doctoral student in the Department of Psychology, studying behavioral medicine and community psychology. I'm most delighted for this opportunity to speak, and so I want to thank Dr. Hrabowski, Dr. Rutledge, Ms. Candace Dotson-Reed, Ms. Justine Johnson, who I believe is unable to be here today, but she's the Associate Director for the Meyerhoff Graduate Fellowship Program, and to my trifecta of faculty, Dr. Bediako, who's sitting in the back over there, Dr. Abrams, and my mentor and intellectual coach, Dr. Danielle Beatty-Moody. I wrestled with the best way to answer why and how did I get here to UMBC, and so I wrote a brief response titled, "What is the PhD for a Black millennial like me?" I was told to stay in school, to get a good education, and that the world would see me through a different light. I was told to speak respectfully and properly, enunciate with intonation, and to hide the Antiguan heritage in my diction, and to read and write at a caliber that retaliates with reverence and social decorum. I was told to excel in my high school classes, to engage in extracurricular activities, to dedicate my service and emotional patience to the cause of volunteerism and community peacemaking. I was told to rely on the posh integrity of my educational elitist pedigree, that studying chemistry at MIT and subsequently obtaining a Master's of Divinity and a Master's of Theology from Duke Divinity would be enough to trump the sociocultural and misinformed Trumpisms that name people of color as degenerate and inferior. I was told that it was a post-racial society because my voice earned an Obama presidency, that I ought to trust the injustice system of a nation who wants nothing more than to merely and half-heartedly scratch out its racist ideologies and histories, and that Charlottesville was merely an anomaly, and the shooting of Mother AME was simply an attack on American Christianity and not an attack on Black culture and Black humanity. But I was told some misinformation and biases. I was told lies in the voicings of the gospel truth. I was told indirectly and yet ever still so poignantly that Black intellectualism was merely a series of Dr. King dreams and visions that could only survive at the sacrificing expense of killing the hearts and minds of Black people, Black existence, Black culture, and Black communities. Yet here I stand, now on the campus of UMBC pursuing a PhD, which we all know is the vernacular for the Doctor of Philosophy degree. But for me, PhD serves as an acronym for Promise Holding Determination. Promise holding determination in illuminating the pervasiveness of racism and healthcare inequality. Promise holding determination in speaking of the tragedies of anti-Black medicalizations and cultural misinterpretations of Black health behaviors, knowledge, and disparities. Promise holding determination to not be confined to the currency of the research-driven academia that motivates journal submissions to rank above community advocacy, but rather to be in an atmosphere like UMBC where our scholarship meets the gentrification and dilapidation of the grand city of Baltimore, to inspire the youth and families to be participants in the game-changing strategies to eradicate intergenerational poverty and unfair policies that disproportionately marginalize people of color. Promise holding determination to remind each one of my peers, colleagues, and associates that even though I will be the first PhD in my family, that this degree does not allow me or permit us to deride and diminish the wisdom and acuity of our non-college attending family members and friends, because that would only recapitulate PhD educational privilege harnessing destructiveness. Promise holding determination that one day as a professor of color, I will have the honor to stand in the lecture halls of this nation's universities to proclaim without hesitation that we must critically engage and radically subvert all modes of socially normalized discrimination and oppression. Promise holding determination, fulfilling the promise holding determination here at UMBC. That is what the PhD means for a Black millennial like me. Thank you.
A round of applause one more time for all of them. That is wonderful. It has been an honor to listen to all of you. As you can tell from my colleagues, we have much in common. Speaking the truth, the discipline to do our best, the willingness to say things that may not be popular, quite frankly, and most important, to believe in ourselves. Each of you has a sense of self, and we commend you on that. Congratulations. It's wonderful. And now, it's only appropriate that we would move to such exciting matters as budget and construction on the campus, and then the provost will talk. And so this is all fitting quite well, all right? It's great.
Okay, so you are about to go through a whirlwind tour of the fiscal year 2018 budget. And for those who saw me do this yesterday, I'm going to make sure my finger's on the green button. So the fiscal year 2018 budget is for the year that began July 1, 2017, and runs through June 30th, 2018. This is our total budget for 2018, almost $443 million. And just to compare that to last year's, it's about a 1.4% increase over last year's budget. And typically I say, about a fourth of it is in tuition, a fourth of it is in state appropriations, a fourth in externally funded research and financial aid, and a fourth in all other categories. Tuition and state appropriations have been growing more rapidly than those other sources in recent years. That's why they're taking up a bigger portion of the piece of pie. Where does that money go? So if you look at the academic-related portions of this, instruction, research, public service, and academic support, that's just over 50% of the total university budget going to that. The next biggest category is auxiliary enterprises. Those are self-supported enterprises, like the two biggest are Res Life and food services, but also parking and athletics and a number of others are in that category. And you can see the rest. I think those are pretty self-explanatory. The state-supported budget is a portion of that total budget, and it's really the general operating budget of the university. It's where most of our salaries are, most of the general operations of the university. And in this case, there's roughly half and half state appropriations and tuition with a couple of other revenue sources thrown in there. Other sources include interest income and auxiliary overhead and a number of other small things. Indirect cost is the overhead that we charge to external grants and contracts. This shows where that money goes in terms of the organization of the university. So you can see here 57% goes to academic affairs. The next largest category is general university, and that means things like utilities, facilities renewal, debt that we pay on money that we've borrowed, insurance, and a number of other smaller things. This is another look at that total state-supported budget. This shows that if you add up all of the items on your right, that's all the people-related costs, salaries, wages, fringe benefits. That's 70% of the total operating budget, which just shows that we are a very people-driven organization. Here's the 2018 state-supported budget in a little bit more detail. So the first part is state appropriations. So we received money to keep our tuition rate at 2% for undergraduate resident students and 3% for graduate resident students. And the state gave us $2.3 million in order to hold that down from the planned 5% increase. The state also gave us another $3.5 million, recognizing that UMBC in its research mission is underfunded relative to the other institutions of higher education in the University System of Maryland. It's great. This is the first year of a promise of 4 years of additional funding in this regard, and so very excited about that. There was just a small reduction in various state lines, and then last November, the state implemented a $1,270,000 reduction for UMBC, and usually we handle that in the year that it happens with one-time monies that we can give back, giving us time to figure out how we're going to take that cut as we develop the 2018 budget. Tuition revenue increases, so the increase as a result of the 2% tuition increases, $2.9 million. We also reduced tuition revenue by $2.5 million because last fall we had about a 1.4% lower enrollment for the fall semester relative to the prior year, and that was exacerbated by the fact that we had a 10% reduction in out-of-state students, who of course pay twice the amount that in-state students. pay. Now, of course, we have very promising enrollment information for the coming fall semester, so we're hoping we can turn this situation around pretty quickly. And then other revenue sources you can see out there. Where does the money go for 2018? The increases, mandatory cost increases, which I'll give you the detail on that in a moment, usually take up the lion's share of the increases that we get. So they're 44% of the increased costs for the year. We also have allocated the remainder across strategic priorities tied to the university's strategic plan. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. So what are the mandatory costs we're facing? Some wage increases, minimum wage, and a biennial market increase program that the USM implements for exempt and non-exempt employees. Additional state adjustments, financial aid sufficient to not only cover the tuition rate increases, but also to increase the amount of need-based aid we're able to give out as student need continues to escalate. We have facilities renewal funding increase of $783,000, recognizing that we currently spend an inadequate amount annually in making sure our facilities stay up to date. Campus operations, cost of doing business, just the regular increases for housekeeping, utilities, and other things, and then debt service increase in terms of, again, paying back the money that we borrow. This is just a visual distribution of the money that we've allocated for the strategic priorities. A couple of things to note. We have increased faculty hiring by about $1.5 million. We've distributed those $1.5 million across the priorities because, of course, faculty contribute to those to every one of those strategic priorities. Also, within this are additional staff members for things like advising and fundraising and just a number of increases, recognizing that staff also play a very important role in implementing the strategic plan. The community and extended connections category, most of those initiatives are being funded by external funds, grants, foundation, and also recognizing that we already are doing so many things across the university, we're going to be building on those in the coming years. I did say a whirlwind tour, right? So that was a whirlwind tour of the 2018 budget. So I'm going to switch over now to just a quick update on facilities projects that are going on at the university. So this is just a visual representation of all the projects that are going on right now. The blue dots show new construction and interior renovations, and the gold dots show exterior site projects. So the first project is our new event center, which is 172,000 square feet. It's due to open by January of this year. You can see it's well on its way, even though it doesn't look like much here. It's going to be just an unbelievably wonderful facility, hosting things like convocation and graduation, concerts, speaker series, career fairs, banquets, special events in hospitality spaces, and of course, it's going to be new home to our athletics department. There will be 4,700 fixed seats for athletic competitions and other events. A capability for more than 1,000 seats on the floor, giving us the capacity for about 6,000 attendees at events. A number of other things like training facilities, practice facilities, academic achievement center, and improved amenities for our guests are also a part of this new facility. The next project is the Interdisciplinary Life Sciences Building, affectionately known as ILSB. So that building is under construction already. Its purpose is to expand research and teaching in the life sciences in an interdisciplinary fashion. This is what it's going to look like. This view is from the Commons Terrace. Today, there's a big old hole where the quad used to be. But, that's going to be good. They promise they're going to restore the quad when they're done. It's 133,000 square feet, and it is scheduled to be completed by the fall of 2019, so holding classes in fall of 2019, 2 years from now. There are 8 new active learning classes. There are 6 new seminar rooms, and also a new wonderful interdisciplinary laboratories that can hold up to 90 principal investigators and an equal number of graduate assistants. As a part of this, we are designing this building to LEED Gold standards. Some of the features that will get us to LEED Gold are very efficient research labs, natural daylight throughout the building, a green roof, which you'll see shaded in that lime green down at the bottom, and sustainable landscape. Another project that was completed recently is the conversion of 2 classrooms in Sondheim to active learning classrooms. They were both 60-seat classrooms that are now 48-seat active learning classrooms with new technology, new furniture, flexibility for faculty members to come in and redesign as they want to have a more active learning environment. Upgraded finishes, ceilings, lighting, new furniture, glass whiteboards, and a number of other things have been put into these 2 classrooms as kind of a test bed for what do we want our classrooms to look like in the future. We also, over the summer, have painted 68 classrooms, many with these beautiful accent walls. We also have started replacing curtains and shades in Sondheim, and we've replaced 350 old chairs, desks, and teaching tables, including those, 1970s avocado seats in some of our classrooms. There have been some site safety improvements that I'm sure all of you have seen as you've walked around campus. We've replaced some uneven pavement in the University Center Plaza, on the plaza of the library, the Central Green sidewalks, and the Patapsco Hall patio and stairs have been replaced. We also have halted water penetration into the lower level of bioscience that has been plaguing us for many years. That has been fixed, as well as University Center water infiltration from the north stairs. The Commons roof is about to be replaced, and just forewarning, there will be increased congestion between the Commons, Physics, and ILSB due to this project and the ILSB project, so please be patient with us. We are right now putting some of the finishing touches on a draft facilities master plan that you all will be hearing so much more about that in the fall semester. It involves land use planning, siting of new or renovated buildings, where we're going to put new open green spaces, utility upgrades. We've already had over 100 campus members involved in this process. We're due to present this plan to the Board of Regents in March of 2018, so just about 6 months away. And of course, no facilities update would be complete without the administration building elevators. So those of us who reside in that building are so happy that we have one car that's working and the other one is on its way to be completed in November of 2017. Thank you for that, and enjoy the campus.
Give a big round of applause. Now, our provost. As the provost comes up, let me just say, people rarely know it, but when Lynn Schaefer came, she talked to us about financial ratios, and we realized, quite frankly, that as well as we were doing, we did not have the funds we would need if anything was really bad. And because of her, and the discipline of the provost and everybody else, we now can say that even in times of crisis, we can handle things and people will keep their jobs. Give her a big round of applause. They tell us a joke. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you're stealing my thunder, Freeman. It's terrible. Thank you, Freeman. And good afternoon, everybody. First and most importantly, I just really want to take the opportunity and start by once again thanking everyone here today for everything you have done and everything you continue to do to support our students and our community and our university. Thank you so much. Now, it has been my tradition as provost to tell the same bad joke every year at the fall opening meeting. And this year will be no exception. But I have a twist.
Oh.
As many of you, but hopefully not too many of you, are aware, it's actually 5 years ago, almost to the day, after I became provost at UMBC and got to address my first, I think it was my first really big meeting of the community, and it was this one today, 5 years ago today.
Give him a hand for that anniversary.
And of course, as part of the advice I received from my colleagues, one of them was, Philip, don't be too serious. You've got to tell a joke. And I then proceeded to stand on this podium and tell a terrible, bad joke. In fact, it was so bad, many of you remember this, that Freeman called out, Philip, don't quit your day job. And of course, as you can see, I always follow Freeman's advice. So here I am today. But there's one thing I haven't said before, which is, of course, that incident has always left me with a little fear and nervousness. And that is that one day I will walk into Freeman's office and he will say to me, Philip, I think you have a great career ahead of you as a stand-up comedian. And then, of course, it's all over. But seriously, our community has always gained strength by each of us sharing with each other our own unique personal story. And there could be no better demonstration of that than our student speakers today. But I also believe that our culture, our UMBC culture of storytelling, represents our desire and our actuality of being part of a shared history. And in that sense, we're all part of a singular and quite remarkable story. And that is the story and the history of a community that, through commitment and hard work, has dedicated itself to creating a new model of a public research university based on the principle of inclusive excellence. Today we celebrate our accomplishments and the beginning of a new academic year, and I know we are all looking forward to our President delivering this year's State of the University address. During the past few years, we have engaged in 3 major exercises. Exercises, I guess you could say, in reflection, renewal, and rededication to our shared values that have brought us here today and are now guiding the future evolution of our community. These are our strategic plan for advancing excellence, our Middle States accreditation exercise that we completed last year, and of course the celebration of our 50th anniversary. At yesterday's university retreat, which I know many of you attended, we discussed the progress that we have made during the past year in advancing the objectives of our new strategic plan. And last semester, I had the privilege of meeting with stakeholders across campus to talk about the first steps we are taking towards the plan's overarching goal. And we will continue these conversations during this coming academic year, and based upon the feedback we received at the retreat, we will shortly deploy a dashboard, a web-based dashboard, that we hope will allow every member of our community to track our progress towards our goals together. This past year, we also successfully completed our Middle States accreditation exercise. That's an exercise that we must undergo in order to be able to award degrees, and we undergo it about every 10 years. This exercise, which was integrated with the development of our new strategic plan, required the development of a comprehensive self-study that identified both our strengths, but also areas in our institution where we could do better. And we agree that we could do better. In parallel with our strategic plan, the results of that self-study will also inform our evolution as a community over the next decade. I'd like to express my profound gratitude to the hundreds of faculty, staff, and students and alumni who worked so hard to develop both the strategic plan and the Middle States self-study. In the case of Middle States, I often remark that whilst the development of the self-study and then hosting the site visit by the accreditation team were critical to us in receiving such a positive accreditation report, and I think Freeman may talk about that a little bit easier, that exercise in some sense, for those that were involved in the self-study and the site visit itself, that exercise was rather like performing a play for which the script was written by the hard work and commitment of every member of the UMBC community. And that work and commitment extends both over 50 years and the past decade since the last Ed accreditation review. So in conclusion, this is a time of great opportunity for us and for UMBC. I feel very honoured and privileged to find myself speaking with you today. I'm humbled by your fellowship and the opportunity to work as one individual to help us all reach our common goal of advancing excellence in education, scholarship, and service to the benefit of all members of our society. I'd also like to thank you all for the kindness and support that you've given to me personally during the past year. Thank you again, and I look forward to working with you over the coming year. And now it's my great honour to invite our President, Dr. Freeman Hrabowski, to deliver the State of the University Address. Thank you very much, everyone.
It's just wonderful. I said yesterday to the group that one of the characteristics of our campus is that we value both authenticity and humility, and it's not easy for those Brits to get a little emotional. And I know that Philip really appreciates the support from this community. Give him another big round of applause. And to my new students, my colleagues have heard me say before, if I had that British accent, I could raise so much more money. I really could. We love that British accent somehow. Before I say anything else, this campus feels so welcoming from the people and looks so inviting from the aesthetics and all of what facilities management people do. Give the facilities management people a round of applause. It's just beautiful. Just beautiful. It really is. So beautiful. And secondly, no one makes it this far in life, wherever we are, without family and friends and teachers. And we've got a table filled with family members of those wonderful students who spoke and one of the teachers. Would you please stand, all of you, please, all of you who've been involved, and all of you family members and teachers who are here to represent. It's really very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you both, Lynn and Philip. We're here today to reflect on the current state of the university and to renew our commitment to our guiding principles. You know them well: supporting people, shared governance, and excellence in education, research, and service. Now, anybody who's been here before knows there's no way I could get through the entire report in the next 20 minutes. So I'm just going to keep you here about an hour and a half, okay? Somehow. Just kidding. What you know that I'm going to do is to read just parts of it and mention a few people and pique your interest. This will be up on the homepage in the coming days. The process is for me to talk, and people always will have questions or they'll have some corrections, and my colleagues are working to make those changes, quite frankly, so that by the time we put it up, you'll have it completely. We'll also have the videotaping of it before it's all over. Yesterday, about 250 of our campus leaders came together to reflect on the positive results of both our middle states reaccreditation, the implementation of our strategic plan, and the progress we've made to this point. Our focus really was on the execution of the UMBC vision. We had a chance to hear from experts from the outside world, from the media, from national agencies. We had a chance to listen to a wonderful discussion that's actually been taped on issues involving freedom of speech and academic freedom. We were elevated by Pat McDermott and her tone setting, and then Kimberly Moffitt in her facilitating and great questioning and pulling us into that work. And that entire retreat had been planned by both Philip and somebody who never gets a lot of attention, but give Lisa Auction a round of applause as she's here. She's just... And a round of attention for Sandra and all of the OIA people who put all of this together. Give all of my colleagues, Sandra, a word. So where are we today? The university has 14,000 students who've come to us from this country and from more than 100 other countries, and we serve thousands of additional students through our training centers. And so in many ways, when you look at our alumni, and you're talking about almost 80,000, they represent the success of what our nation has always envisioned. We are very proud of our campus, and the 50th celebration was amazing. We had elected officials, alumni, donors, and friends, students, faculty, and staff all talking about, reflecting on this remarkable story of what has happened since 1966. If you've not read Professor Lanou's book, Improbable Excellence, The Saga of UMBC, I strongly encourage it to you. He has a quote there that I really like. He says that we've had challenges and we've faced them. He suggests ways in which we've worked to overcome many of those difficulties. And then he says this: UMBC has developed a new model, and the quest for excellence may be a permanent part of the UMBC culture. It goes well with what we say: success is never final. The name of our plan, if you think about it, our UMBC, a strategic plan for advancing excellence, is particularly significant as we think about the 4 areas of focus. First, the student experience. This is why we like to listen to new students and see where they are when they come in, what they're thinking about, who they are. Secondly, research and scholarship and creative achievement. Third, innovative curriculum and pedagogy. And fourth, community and extended connections. And yesterday, it was a wonderful auto transformation project, and coming out of the IRC Imaging Research Center, looking at the two-way approach of research that informs what happens in our communities in Baltimore, but listening carefully to the voices of people from Baltimore, people from all kinds of backgrounds, and seeing how that should inform our research. Now, how many of you were involved in either, if you were involved in either the self-study, the accreditation process, or strategic planning, I want you to stand right now. Let me see who you are. Stand up right now if you were involved in any of those things, please. Give them all a round of applause. The success of our accreditation was remarkable. I've had the privilege of chairing many accreditation teams. I've never had the experience of seeing the university not given some additional recommendations to be considered. Because the self-study process allows the campus to say who it is, what it does well, and what it needs to work on. We did that. And then we had the town hall meeting. A lot of people were there. And these people who had come from Chapel Hill and Indiana U and other places looked, and we were waiting for them to drop whatever it would be as the recommendations that we had not thought about. And when they looked at us and said, we have no recommendations, it was huge. It is as favorable a statement about a campus as can be had. Give yourselves a round of applause. Just three big, they talked about student success as the centerpiece of who we are, about the importance of strong shared governance, and they even said they would characterize it as shared ownership. And then finally, the ways in which the budget and the planning are interrelated, very important. Let me go now to enrollment. Amazingly, we will have the largest freshman class ever. We know it's well over 1,750, and if you know what I mean when I say presidentially speaking, that means we are approaching 1,800. Give us a big round of applause for that. To the new students, it means you round up. 1,750 is moving towards, it'll be about 1,780. But it's the largest freshman class ever and a wonderful transfer class, of which Karina is a part, 1,200. So altogether, 3,000 new students. What is significant is when you focus on something, you make progress. And so we decided to look at how to bring in more students from other states. We've got plenty from other countries at the grad level, plenty, but we wanted the undergrads to also have that experience of people from other places. We can now say we have students who've arrived from California for the undergrad experience and grad experience, California and Florida, Rhode Island, to Alabama, to Bangladesh and Guyana and South Africa and UK, and it goes on and on and on. What I'm really excited about is that we have a 35% increase in students planning to major in the arts, humanities, and social sciences. Big round of applause for that. And all of you know that we're always wanting to bring in more women from all disciplines. We have a 20% increase in women in the freshman class. Big deal. Big round of applause. Consistent with the strategic plan and all the recommendations from accreditation, you will see an increased use of analytics to understand the challenges. Bob Carpenter is already on the ball doing a lot with that. He and Philip Rouse and many other people are involved in coming up with ways of developing evidence-based programs and initiatives to support students to assess the impact of planning decisions. And you'll be hearing more and more about that as the most enlightened institutions understand that success is never final, that there are always students who need more help than we have been giving, and that is what we're doing. So working with them in analytics, working with IRADS, which is Institutional Research, Analysis, and Decision Making, and with DOIT, the Department of Information Technology, you will see major additional work being done to help more students. When thinking about UMBC accolades and recent achievements, the university continues to receive a lot of national recognition. You can look on the web at what we're getting and what people are saying, from Kiplinger's Personal Finance to Times Higher Education, Princeton Review, the U.S. News and World Report, Best Colleges Guide, which ranked us in the top 5 on most innovative schools, along with Stanford and MIT and Arizona State. And the Chronicle of Higher Education, again, has named us as one of the great colleges to work for. We're the only other place in our state, only other four-year institution, public or private, to be on that list this year for the first time is UMB. But for us, it's been 6 or 7 years that we're on that list, and we made the honor roll in 11 out of 12 categories. Give yourselves a round of applause. If you've not read the SAGE report that focuses on our economic impact, please do so. It's hard to believe, but it documents the billions of dollars that we have been able to create for the economy in our state because of jobs created by the university and our research park, tech center, and by the alumni. And most important, when you think about it, they are in a broad range of areas, from cybersecurity, clean energy, life sciences, but also the creative class of artists and humanists who are in our society working in so many different types of jobs. Now, let me recognize several people who are new, and then I'm going to have everyone who's new just to stand, and so you can see faces. We won't be able to go through all the names, but I do want to introduce several new people. As I call your name, please stand, and then I'm going to give all of these new people a round of applause. Dr. Keith Bowman, who's the new Dean of Engineering, Dr. Catherine Cole, who is the Vice Provost and Dean of Undergrad Academic Affairs, and Dr. David DeMaria, who is is now the Associate Vice Provost for International Education, and Dr. Susan Starrett, who is the new Director of the UMBC School of Public Policy. Would you please stand? All of you, if you're here. Very nice. See their faces, and make sure you say thank you to all of them. And I want to thank both Simon Stacy, who's been in the role in undergrad education, for going back to the Honors College, and Brian Souders for his work, who is now going back to his role as Associate Director for Study Abroad. Give them both a hand, Brian and Simon. Where are you, Brian and Simon? You here? Great. Thank you very much. And now, with regard to research and scholarship and creative achievement, in the mid-'90s, some of you may remember that our distinguished professor and now the late Hugh Graham documented our per capita research, particularly in the arts, humanities, and social sciences, and found that literally in this Hopkins published study that we were 13th in the nation in those disciplines. And it was amazing to see that among public universities. Now, at that same time, what was interesting was we had arrived at about $10 million in annual research. So everybody knew us for science and engineering. We were doing a great job in sending kids to med school and whatever. We had some research going on, first-rate research, but the level was much lower. Today, we're talking about dramatic increases. The increase over that 20-year period has been from that time of $10 million to this past year reaching $99 million in external awards. Big round of applause for the idea. And just recently, an increase of 12% above last year and 21% since 2013 in research expenditures at $80 million. What you will hear me doing now is going through some of the highlights of that research, not just from science and engineering, but across the campus, and some of the prestigious awards. In some cases, research is measured by money, but in many cases, it's by very prestigious awards, depending on the discipline. And so perhaps the largest endeavor on our campus involves a $100 million amount associated with NASA. We are in the top 20 institutions in the country from NASA in research funding. And most recently, under the leadership of physics professor Jane Turner, we received a renewal of our Center for Research and Exploration in Space Science and Technology. And that amount of money is over a 5-year period split with College Park 50-50 between the two of us and two other institutions, but we get the vast majority, the two campuses, of $87 million with an opportunity to renew it altogether, coming to about $170 million. Give Carl a hand for all he does, Carl Steiner, for helping with all of that. That's a big deal. It really is. A really big deal. And then really proud of some awards are so important because of both their visibility, the substance, and quite frankly, the prestige. The UMBC Drescher Center for the Humanities and the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences are launching a major 5-year initiative to promote diversity and inclusion in the humanities through a major grant from the Andrew Mellon Foundation under the leadership of Jessica Berman and Scott Casper. Give them both a round of applause. And then we have millions of grants without going through, and you'll have all the names in the written version, but let me just give you the areas, the topics, because we're talking about millions and millions of grants, including a major research instrumentation awards, to an immersive hybrid reality lab, to work involving policy analysis and data analytics with the Department of Health, to public policy on the use of school resource officers, to developing guidelines for helping adults with mild neurocognitive disorder in using cyber systems and understanding the experiences of patients with hip fractures, for example, to working with the Navy and other institutions all the way from UMB and Hopkins to Tel Aviv University. Just today, was really delighted to hear about, from Dr. Roy, about a new grant that is from the Alzheimer's Association involving wearable devices and sensors in cognitive health assessment. Very, very important. And then a variety of people who've gotten other awards involving brain functioning and brain stimulation. I mentioned earlier the IRC's work in the Art of Transformation project. Interestingly, we had a number of people in Baltimore for the City Lights program, which is very important. And what I particularly particularly like is that we had them across disciplines, from Eric Dyer and Tim Norrie in the visual arts to Jemima Slaughter in computer engineering, Lee Boot, director of IRC, Chris Swan in geography and environmental systems, and Kimberly Moffitt, who also president of the Faculty Senate and a member of American Studies and other departments, all speaking on their research in Baltimore, helping the larger community understand the importance of our work. Some other very prestigious awards. Connected World selected our own Govind Ryer, who directs the Advanced Center in Sensor Technology, the Center for Advanced Sensor Technology, who received the 2017 Pioneer Award for his work on creating technologies that have revolutionized how doctors and hospitals provide care to patients of all ages around the world. And then a wonderful award, Guggenheim, to Deborah Rudisill in English, and to Kate Brown, the very prestigious Berlin Prize in History, and then a number of career awards, including Lee Blaney for his work in water quality and environmental forensics, and Tinu Moseinen, who is doing work involving new machine learning, and then Ting Zhu for his work involving internet-connected devices to transfer information. Now, with that said, we've got a variety of Fulbrights, but let me just mention both Dr. Chia and Dr. Abraham for their work, because one is in psychology going to Italy, another is in the visual arts going to Ethiopia, and Dr. Eagleton, Chuck Eagleton, who is actually going to be teaching courses and doing research in Colombia with a number of our students, a large number of students, 7 or 8, who got Fulbrights going around the world, including others with the alumni who are doing that. And then Whitney Schwab, who is assistant professor of philosophy, just won a very prestigious fellowship from the National Endowment for the Humanities, looking at the origins of philosophical study of knowledge in the Western tradition. And you heard me mention before, there are many people who are getting awards involving UMBC and UMB as we build that partnership. And then we've had a number of our colleagues to receive awards from the Maryland Innovation Fund, including Jeffrey Gardner in biology, and Chris Geddes, and Jemima Slaughter again. Now, Linda Dustman and Eric Smallwood are getting their 3rd Innovation Award, which is really creative, involving developing their tablet app, Octava, which provides online information during live concert performances. How many of you have had a chance to use that app, Let me see your hands. Very exciting. If you enjoy music, you will enjoy it. It enhances the experience in very, very interesting ways. And I'm going to challenge Linda and Eric to pull in more of our people to come in and use that in some of our performances. And then in the Innovation Fund this year, we've got for the campus, we've got 5 new teams involving, and all of this will be in Writing with Names, veterans in their transition to UMBC, work with immigrant communities. Karina, you might want to get involved with that, in producing digital stories, studying the mindset of students from non-STEM disciplines as they take STEM courses, redesigning the course in introductory microeconomics, and exploring the use of virtual and augmented reality technologies in engaging students. Now, faculty and staff achievements. I want to congratulate Lynn Schaefer, who is now the chair of the Eastern Association of College and University Business Officers, and now just becoming the vice chair of the National Association. Congratulations on that. Theo Gonzalez, give her a hand for that. We like that. And we've got Theo Gonzalez, who is here in American Studies, and he has now become the president of the Association for Asian American Studies. We're very proud of Theo. And then we've got Kim Licey, who is Associate VP for Student Affairs here, who's been appointed to the board for the Coalition of Higher Education Associations for Substance Abuse and Prevention. All of you know, for new students, I'll be talking about the fact that every day in America, five college students die from alcohol abuse alone. And we've got a lot going on this campus to give support to people and to look at ways of educating them about the risks involved in both alcohol and drugs. I want to also congratulate Tim Hall, who is now just been appointed the president of the Division I AAA Athletics Association. Great visibility for the campus. And then Sarah Shen got the prestigious ACE Fellowship and will be working downtown at UMB. Sarah, are you here somewhere? Give Sarah a round of applause. I'm very proud of her for that. And Ann Brodsky had the ACE Fellowship this past year, and we're very proud of you as you come back and from Swarthmore and working as Associate Dean in Arts and Humanities. Mark Zupan, who is in mechanical engineering, has gotten the a fascinating award involving University System of Maryland Board of Regents. Let me just mention all the people who are getting these presidential awards from the Board of Regents. It's Mark Zupan, it's Sarah Shen, it's Wendy Martin as staff, and it's Ali Shahag, and all of whom are being recognized by the Board of Regents, including Catherine Setley-Ratke. Give them all a round of applause. And Donald Snyder, please, all of them. And Catherine has also just been named the American Chemical Society's Maryland Chemist of the Year. Very proud of them. And then, in addition, there's some other staff awards. And as I call your name, and any of the other staff members who are here right now, or faculty, both Denise Atkinson and Paul Dillon and Mildred Homer all received University System Board of Regents staff awards, and Janet McGlynn, and give them all a round of applause. Anybody here, stand up if you're here right now. Very good. Thank you. And then Abigail Granger received the Karen Winch Award, and Kevin Eckert the Maryland Demarest Award. Very proud of them. And then some people who would never take credit for anything, John Fritz and Kevin Joseph and Jack Seuss, all received big national award from Blackboard, a big deal called the Catalyst Award. If they're here, raise your hands and give them a round of applause, would you? Great. Our provost received the William Plater Award in Civic Engagement, and we were very proud of him. And most important, I want you to think about the fact that Human Resources has been really encouraging the campus-wide Recreation Wellness Initiative. More and more people are taking advantage of that RAC, which is very important. The Women's Center is celebrating its 25th anniversary through special engagement activities. I encourage you to attend. Jess Myers is doing a great job. And then there are other people who received awards. For example, Marie Desjardins received the 2017 recipient of the Richard Newton Educator Award, and Renetta Toll received the ABET, that's the Engineering Accreditation Agency, Claire Felbinger Diversity Award, very significant. Give them all a round of applause, okay? Before I go on very quickly, let me just say that even when talking about student achievements, we first need to recognize that we're spending a lot of time on the safety and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff. Student Affairs hosted a major statewide training on threat management and risk assessment. Very important to be prepared for any kind of crisis that may come up. And this summer we had major training sponsored by the Human Relations Office, focused on Title IX and sexual misconduct and implementation. And most important, some of the leaders, we had almost 190 plus people who went through that training, but that Office of Human Relations actually went to 67. All orientation sessions had training for students and their parents on sexual misconduct. Big round of applause. That's very important. Very, very important. And then it is exciting to look at other kinds of achievements. We are the national champions in cybersecurity. Big round of applause for that idea. And I want to also congratulate several people. Ryan Odom was the country's top Division I coach this year, led basketball, did best ever, second most wins in 30 years. And in women's basketball hosted its first UMBC first postseason tournament and earned a victory in that invitational. And we see in swimming, and congratulations to Phil Stern, and then Chad Craddock has all these national wins, including both men's and women's swimming and diving, actually winning their third straight titles in their respective divisions. But he's got a number of national champions. You're talking about, amazingly, the champion of Serbia, national record holders, not just champions, but national record holders. The champion of Serbia, 2 from Egypt, and 1 from Denmark, and then finally one from who has just become a 2-time All-American, who has just earned a spot on the U.S. national team, and that's Emily. So that's Nick and Muhammad and Hania and Alexa and Emily. Are any of you here today? Are those swimmers here today, Chad? And give Chad a round of applause for that. Would you, Chad? Let me see the swimmers. Stand up. Are some of those national champions here? That's Mr. Nick. These are champions. They can teach your grandkids to swim. That's great. Very good. And then I want to also congratulate Ryan Moran, who did a great job of finishing second with the American East. And one of his midfielders, Thomas Rodriguez, has earned a place on the Puerto Rican national team. If by chance anybody here, if they're not, give them our congratulations, would you please? And then on fundraising, most important statement, we actually are up to $87.5 million in endowment, and with pledges from several of our largest donors that will take us to $100 million. We know that's right around the corner. We're looking forward to that. We raised $14 million this year. Give Greg Simmons and all the folks in OIA a hand for what they're doing. Big deal. And last year, members of the faculty and staff contributed $500,000 to the faculty staff campaign in the Maryland Charities. Big deal. Give yourselves a round of applause for that. You'll get a chance at homecoming to see who the alumni of the year are. But I did want to mention that it's really nice that one of our own, a young man who came here some years ago from a small town, Mechanicsville, Maryland, went on to med school and then got a graduate at Indiana U, grad school at Berkeley in public health. It is now the Surgeon General, Jerome Adams. Get him a round of applause, please. And his deputy wrote to me and said, UMBC is right here because Sylvia Trent Adams is the Deputy Surgeon General. She is our first admiral, and we are so proud of a PhD in public policy and health policy. Give her a round of applause, would you? And finally, let me just say that the Washington Post Alumnus of the Year for Teaching was Shung Peng, who was amazing, and we're very proud of him, and that the chair of the American Institute of CPAs is Kimberly Ellison Taylor, young woman out of inner city Baltimore who came to UMBC. Big round of applause for her also. And finally, the most important thing I want to tell you about sustainability and climate change is that, chaired by Lynn Schaefer and Matt Baker, we have this climate action group, a steering committee, and they're putting together a new plan. We can say that we have lowered carbon emissions by 17% since we started 10 years ago, even though the enrollment has increased by 20% and the space on the campus has increased by 9%. But what we're saying is that we will go to the next level. So we're rewriting that plan right now with more aggressive targets. Give us a hand for understanding climate change is real. It's real. It's important to say that, okay? That is the truth, all right? And you'll see a lot about that. And then beyond that, you've heard a lot already today about diversity and inclusion, but I do want to congratulate the provost and the deans for the work we're doing with all of the underrepresented committees and, again, for the people involved, whether it's about race, gender, underrepresentation, that we are making substantial progress in diversifying the faculty. One of the big issues in our country is that it's only been since this 50-year period that we began to bring in people who were not from well-educated already families, that we began to bring in more people of color, that we began to think about women in certain disciplines, and we are now taking it head on and becoming one of these leaders. Our faculty here said it's not good enough to be average at 6% or 7%, one group. When you look at our country, we're looking at the demographics, looking at who we become as students, we have a responsibility to be much better, to lead the way when thinking about African Americans, Hispanics, students from underrepresented groups, LGBTQ, and thinking about women. We should be a leader with the faculty in all those areas. Big round of applause for that idea, for that vision of becoming a leader. And the work that we're doing has us well on our way. In fact, this year we've got in Casa Loma, we've got we've got more postdoc fellows than ever who have great opportunities of moving on from there to tenure-track positions in those departments. And you've got success coming in all the colleges right now, and we're working towards more and more. You will see all the numbers and how we've increased those numbers. This is just one number about women. Believe it or not, in the STEM areas in 1999, we only had 13 women who were tenure-track and tenured. We're now up to 55. Big round of applause for the people who are in the advanced program. in that STEM area. But similarly, in the areas for African Americans and Hispanics, we are increasing the numbers and with more to do, but we are making progress in those areas. And then I want to really ask you to look when you read it about the UMBC Stride Network, because that's involving very distinguished professors who have decided to take on themselves the idea of helping every department to understand the biases, the reason we've not been able in the country or on our campus to increase the numbers substantially until now when everybody is involved. And this is what you'd call not just shared governance, but shared ownership. I want you to think about that notion. And then let me just commend the department, IIT, because they've partnered with enrollment management, student affairs, athletics, around financial services, and all kinds of tools to help us to be able to do our business in a much more effective way and to help many more students to succeed. In closing, let me just say, this is the time in our country when we as a nation are asking the question, who are we? What are our values? What is important to us? And equally important, we at UMBC are asking that question. And we are saying in so many ways, as the provost and I put out letters, as we think about how to make the point that we will reject every day discrimination against anybody. We are determined to let people know we care deeply. But as I listened to our students this morning, as I thought about who they are and their values, I couldn't help but think about a young man who speaks for the arts, who shows great passion about the importance of the arts in our lives, and who will use his talents and his discipline to elevate us, to become a leader in that area. And then I thought about the young woman who's now a world champion at 17 or 18 years old, who can help girls understand, yes, you can do technology, in spite of the 50% decline in computer science majors in the last 30 years, that yes, we can completely reverse that trend and show through programs like CWIT that yes, people of all races, women too, especially, should be involved in all of what we're doing in those areas. And then I think about the significance of looking into the face of what people call some immigrant who's supposedly undocumented or whatever, and seeing the talent and seeing her courage to speak truth. And you think, how many children are not getting that opportunity? And then you see a young African-American man who could be my son or almost my grandson, speaking, having been at MIT and having graduated and having been at Duke in divinity, who speaks with language and cadence that so many people don't appreciate. And as he says, I've gotten this, I've gotten that, but I have so much more to do. That health disparities in our country are real and people are dying, and I want to take what I have and bring it to UMBC. And I think to myself, this is who we are. They express our values. You stood because you knew they spoke the truth. And so I close with words that we use at the retreat, that I use at my 20th from Aristotle, that excellence is never an accident. It is the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wisest option among many alternatives. And then he said, choice, not chance, determines destiny. And it was Ann Brodsky yesterday who said, but I want you to think about it. Some people don't have the chance to have the choice. And then I thought to myself last night, this is the beginning of my 26 years president and my 31st year on this campus. And I've never been more convinced that the nobility of our work is that we are helping children in the choice program or through Breaking Ground in Baltimore City, college students, grad students, and ourselves to have the chance to make the choices that can help so many others. And so I challenge you, UMBC colleagues and students, to watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. America and UMBC, we are with so many strengths, and we can be even better. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And now, for the singing of the alma mater. Please stand and help me teach students this year that when the alma mater is being sung, nobody leaves, nobody moves, out of respect for ourselves and for the singing of the song. I need everybody in here to help students understand that when the alma mater is being sung, we must stand and give respect, okay? The alma mater. Is October the 5th through 14th. We're looking forward to seeing alumni, faculty, and staff there. Highlights include the annual Alumni Awards, the annual Poetry Slam, the Homecoming Bonfire, the comedy show with Trevor Noah. You know Trevor Noah, right? The GridX Talks, and the Homecoming Carnival, and the men's and women's lacrosse and soccer game. Enjoy the day, and thank you all very much.